Today I'm welcoming to the show a very special guest. I'm joined by Adam Bartholomew. Adam, how are you?
I'm doing good considering the circumstances, Jason. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and people who haven't seen you before, you are a journalist. You and I became acquainted because you, as far as I know, were really maybe the only person live streaming at the Charlie Kirk event last week. Is that right?
I think there were some people doing, various cell phone streams, but I think I had the only continuous long format video.
Yeah, and that's just it.
And short of the Charlie Kirk people, obviously they had way better equipment than me, so that we haven't seen those videos.
Yeah, I didn't see them put out a live stream was the issue there. I was a little bit surprised that they weren't live streaming the event. But
yeah, I just meant as far as my continuous long form comment.
Yeah.
So.
No, and it was great work. Congratulations on excellent coverage. People can follow you on X at Life is Driving, and also you've got a YouTube channel by the same name. And you were generous enough to put out the YouTube content for everybody to download. A lot of people have been looking at the video and finding lots of important evidence in there. I just wanted to talk to you a bit today about your experience there at the event and some of the technical. You ran into some problems, didn't you, with the live stream cutting out?
Yeah, the live stream did cut out right at the moment of the shooting, and it cut out twice, and then it ultimately dropped off. I think the shooting happened around 20 or so minutes into the stream, and then the live stream version only lasts 27 minutes. But I did get an hour and 9 minutes of recorded footage on my tablet.
And it's just very important and historic work that you did. So this is something I want people to understand because it's important. You've got a 1 hour and 9 minute video that is your very comprehensive coverage of this event. And then separately, what happened was you had started the live stream. Now, I want people to understand you're a professional journalist, so you've got a pretty sophisticated setup going. You and I do certain things in common where you're using a really sophisticated VPN and a bonded link aggregator to use all of the available mobile data networks for the best possible signal. And it was a little bit, I think, coincidental that your live stream cut out. I first saw your coverage from the video that you uploaded. You've just told us that you recorded locally as well, and that's very important. But when I went back to check the time, like you just made some very important observations, that the time that Charlie was shot and when you began shooting, I went back and that's when I noticed that you had this separate live video that was only 27 minutes long. And I do find it pretty coincidental that it cut out just as the shooting began. Now, you did have some other disruptions, but to be fair, you were moving around campus. You were behind stone buildings and things. The strangest thing I found about the timing when your live stream cut out is that you got to this position sort of on an outdoor patio talking to these students, and you seemed to have a very strong signal. And then, oddly, the second before the shooting started, your stream was totally disrupted. If you hadn't been recording, nobody would have heard what you heard or seen the important things that you picked up afterwards. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Now, did you get a chance to see any of the videos that I extracted from the material that you sent me?
Yeah, I've been, you along with, I think, yours have been very interesting. It seems like a lot of people have been diving into these videos. So it's been surprising to me to see how many people are going through frame by frame of this footage. But I have seen yours, and it's very intriguing. I'm not sure what to make of it, honestly. So I'm definitely not a UAV expert by any means. So,
and also I want, just for the sake of all the Palmer Luckies out there and whoever might not like some of the things that I say, certainly Adam my views are not Adam's views, and whatever it is that I say, these are my opinions. Nobody should sue Adam. He's just capturing footage. Nobody will sue us. But the point is, some people get upset.
I hope we're not. I hope I haven't done anything that.
You have not. I don't mean to imply anything other than I haven't prompted you to say anything, and nothing that I say is you're not responsible for this. These are my opinions. And also, to be clear, we don't know if these are UAVs. The point that I'm raising is you shot this footage and you've got some very clear views of the sky, and there's a lot of stuff there that's just, it's really unclear what we're looking at. Some people think this is a bird. I don't know. I don't think birds fly upward in perfectly orbital patterns like that directly over the crowd. I also think I hear this thing making a buzzing sound as it comes close to us. I want you to listen to this for just a second.
Yes, everything gets okay. So you got the rainbow pin on there? What's that mean? Gay pride. Nice for LGBTQ plus.
Okay. Sorry, we've got
gay pride in Pal.
We've got some other sound in the background. Let me make sure we can isolate this. I definitely encourage people to go and look at these videos. You can follow me on X. I've got each of them on there so that people can evaluate them for themselves. But let's just look at this again really quickly. I want to make sure we don't have any other sound interfering. Here we go. Do you hear that buzzing as it comes close, Adam?
I do. I did hear that the first time I played it back when you posted it online. You know, I do think that there was a lot of stuff happening at that moment, but that is hard to say. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what to make of it.
I agree.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I know there were some other things captured as well on there, but that one specifically, I just,
yeah.
If you first look at it from just the regular video, you think it's a bird or something, but
right,
when you look at it closer, it really. And there was somebody commented and said that there was confirmed that that people had drones. I don't know if that was TPUSA or what, but I know that there were drones at the people who organized the memorial that was the following day.
Mm-hmm.
They had taken drone video to show how many people were at the memorial. So I was thinking maybe it was somebody that, maybe associated with the event, or the Cougar Chronicle, or the campus or something. Potentially,
right.
Somebody's potentially got footage out there from a drone that hasn't been widely released. Sure.
And just so I understand what you're saying, you also covered, there was a Charlie Kirk memorial vigil on the 12th, and you covered that in Provo, Utah. People can go to your YouTube channel, Life is Driving, and see all the coverage that you've been doing. So you're saying somebody had a drone at this event, but did someone at this event tell you they had a drone on campus? Has that been confirmed?
I saw the drone, and then I went and tried to get up close to it. And after the event, I saw that the Cougar Chronicle had posted drone footage of the event, and from the angle, I assume it was their drone that I had seen that night.
Oh, the Chronicle had drone footage from the event where Charlie was killed?
No, from this event.
From this event.
So we don't know the candlelight vigil. So that made me think that there's most likely somebody that that had drone footage of the. There had to be.
I mean, you would think, but wait a second, because we did have the FBI, remember, on the 10th or 11th saying, hey, we're looking for this guy. How come nobody, I mean, I agree with you. It's plausible that somebody could have had a drone on campus on the 10th, but why wouldn't they release the footage? I mean, everybody is scrambling to try to learn more about this tragic event, and nobody has come forward and said we have drone footage. When the FBI said we want help, with this manhunt, they didn't say we have drone footage. It's a little weird, isn't it?
That is weird. I know that there is. I did capture cameras being taken down from inside the Charlie Kirk tent, so we know that there's at least two other cameras. The camera pointed at Charlie, and then the camera directly behind him that was pointed at the crowd. That would, and particularly the one pointing at the crowd, I think would be the one pointing at Charlie, I think, is just going to be a gruesome spectacle. But the one pointing at the crowd, that was pointing at the speaker who was asking the question, that one potentially would capture the shooter. So depending on how wide angle the angle was, and how it was pretty high up in the back of the tent, so there's a possibility that the front of the tent is too low and would potentially cut off that vantage point. But I think it's very possible that footage would show the shooter, but we haven't seen any of those angles either.
Yeah, it's a bit frustrating. I mean, I would have hoped they'd put it out. I can understand what you're saying about, we don't want to, obviously, no one's trying to get any gratuitous or upsetting footage of Charlie Kirk. It's upsetting enough as it is. But I think there's just, as you said, you captured this footage and so many people have been combing through it. I mean, this is the crowdsource process. This is basically what the way I do things relies on this. And by them holding that footage back, we're really missing some things. Let's go through some of what I found in your footage for a second. I've posted this on X. People can review this for themselves. And I went through, we had a few different items that flew by, and I thought that this was pretty important because it allowed us to compare, like the flight of a bird here. We can see the shape of the object is changing in almost every single frame. And then it goes right at the ridge line. It becomes sort of the same color as the mountain, and I think what happened is the video compression basically makes it disappear. The bird flies out from behind the tree, and then when it gets under the dark area of this building, it becomes visible again, and then it flies into the trees. And that's pretty much what we've seen birds do, right? They fly, from the sky through the trees and back into the trees. It's not really something that a drone would necessarily do. A drone would crash in a bunch of trees, but you don't need to be an ornithologist to know that birds fly to the trees. And again, just to go over this because it's confusing for some people, this video compression concept. And I want to thank you again because you were kind enough to provide me with the local recording that you made that was much higher bit rate than what went out on YouTube. And a lot of people don't understand the importance of that, Adam, because I see a lot of people taking footage that's a screen capture from somebody's TikTok that they uploaded from their phone, and it really decimates the footage, and it can change it in ways that aren't obvious to people. When you provided me with the high bit rate locally recorded footage from your device, it allowed me to evaluate this in the best possible way. So what I'm saying here is when that bird flies in front of the mountain, the color of the bird is similar enough to the mountains that the computer compressing the video in your recording device just doesn't see it. It erases it into the mountain. And so it's not until that bird comes back from under the building. See, this gray area here, the bird sort of flies along here, and then when it gets into the darkness under the building, the contrast of the bird against the dark background causes the video camera and the compression technology within the camera to see the bird again. So I use that to discern that it's a bird flying behind the tree and then back into the trees. Then we get another good example here of an insect flying much closer to the camera, but look at the detail you captured. You can see the insect's wings flapping. Did you see that?
Yeah.
It's amazing. But this is super useful. It helps.
Somebody commented on YouTube, 19 minutes and 51 seconds. A hornet was right in front of the screen, right in front of the camera.
Right. I mean, it's amazing that the camera would register that. But
it was amazing that somebody picks that up and notes that.
Right.
I'm amazed. I'm just amazed at the effort of the public.
Absolutely. See, you did a great thing by being there and doing all the coverage, but maybe you're not great at spotting 2 seconds of hornet footage in a video. It's difficult to do. I don't think I would have spotted these things if it wasn't for some of the crowdsourced input from all the thousands of people who have now, and millions of people who have seen your work. So then the shot is fired, everybody scrambles, you bravely charge right up to the rail. By the way, you're downrange of the shooter right here. You had no idea if you were going to get shot or not. So there you go with your journalistic instincts. Very good.
I think that was my parental instinct. My My wife and kid were down in that crowd, and
Whoa.
that was the my kid was had left my wife's position, and he was standing in line waiting to
Whoa.
ask Charlie a question, and
Oh my
that's
God. And also
so
you call and
as
say, are
I'm
you guys all right? I hear that on
yeah
the
as
video.
I'm
Yeah.
rushing to the edge, I'm pulling my phone out and calling my wife. She didn't pick up, and then I called my son, and you can hear me talk, making sure he's okay and tell
Wow.
him to be safe.
When your wife didn't answer, your heart must have stopped for a moment.
Oh, I immediately hung up on my son, and after I said, "Are you safe?" And then I hung up on him and called her back, and it was ringing and ringing, and then he called me back again, and that was when I picked it up, and like, I'm like, "Oh, he's calling me something," and he said, "Dad, Charlie's been shot." That was when I knew it wasn't a prank or something like that.
Right. Before we go back to the video analysis, talk to me about that. Have you ever experienced anything like this? Any shooting? I mean, probably not, right?
I was at the No Kings rally earlier in the summer, doing a live stream of the protest. And about 2 blocks before the shooting, I closed down my stream and just left because I wasn't really interested in what was happening. And then the shooting happened. So I turned my equipment back on and went over to the park where people were congregating and got some, after the fact interviews, that kind of thing. That was the closest I've come to anything like this before. This is definitely a unique event.
Yeah. I mean, you look to be about my age. This is not the America we grew up in, is it?
It's definitely not the America I grew up in, for sure.
Scary. And what
It
do you
is
think?
scary.
I've been asking a lot of people, Adam, because obviously it's a horrible tragedy that a father and a husband and a nice guy. I mean, I can't say that I knew Charlie personally, but it seems like the kind of guy who never hurt anybody. It's certainly one level of tragedy that that guy was murdered. What about the fact that we've got what was to me a surprisingly large number of people who seem to be celebrating this death unapologetically?
Yeah, that's the most surprising. I mean, obviously Charlie Kirk getting murdered is surprising, but to me the most telling, the strangest part about it is seeing people celebrating. And I can tell you, on that balcony, that scene where you just posted, where you just showed, I rush to the side. I'm calling my wife. I call my son. I say, "Are you safe?" He says, "Yes." I say, "Okay, be safe." And I hang up on him. I'm calling my wife. She doesn't answer again. My son calls me. I pick up, and he says, "Dad, Charlie's been shot." And I say out loud, "Charlie's been shot." And I say, I say into the microphone, my son says Charlie's been shot. This is unconfirmed. My son, the kids next to me that had been not all of them, I can say, because most of them ran away. I got footage of one of them very visibly, gleefully running away.
Yeah, I saw that.
The kids standing next to me, when I said Charlie's been shot, they went like this. They held their hands up like this and went, "Please, please, please." That's what they did.
They wanted him to be dead, you're saying?
To me, it appeared that they were hoping. They were, they crossed their fingers when, as soon as I said, "Charlie's been shot," my son says Charlie's been shot, they went, "Please, please, please." Okay.
Wow.
This was two, I say kids, these are college students. They're obviously adults.
Right.
Two of these kids right next to me that had this was their reaction to the words "Charlie's been shot." And we've seen the TikToks and the
Right.
all the other stuff. People have been really good about documenting but I was astounded. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
It's like witnessing evil, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it was right next to me. To think,
Wow.
for somebody, to a guy that's his kids aren't going to see their father. They're going to grow up with a murdered dad.
Yeah.
And to be celebrating and be hope and to be hoping in the moment. There was a shooting. You're in the middle of a shooting of somebody in the middle, in front of over 3,000 people, including his wife and kids that just watched him get slaughtered. and you're hoping, you're crossing your fingers and hoping in the moment. I don't know.
It's beyond psychotic.
I don't know if humanity comes. I don't know. It is. I mean, how do you? I've been trying to grapple with this since 2020. I've been saying this kind of thing since 2020. You know, these people hate us, and you know, they do not like our way of life. They don't like our values. Coming from that, and then seeing this thing with Charlie Kirk, how do you reconcile with that? How do you reconcile with people that want you killed in front of your family and they will celebrate it?
Yeah. No, it's very disturbing. I agree with you. It's, I think people are realizing something that maybe we didn't realize before this happened. I mean, you're absolutely right. I agree with you. Let's go back to this video for a second, because so just within 30 seconds of that horrible crime happening, this flying object appears. Now, it could be a bird. I don't, I'm not a bird expert, but do birds do orbital flights over crowds of screaming people? And what I'm saying here is that the body of this object looks rigid. It's not flexing all around.
Yeah, I don't see the flap that we saw with the first one. That's what intrigues me about this particular clip.
Now, people might see some activity around the body that could look like flapping.
This was immediately after the live feed cut out twice.
Exactly. And see, I've got the time. What I did was, at the beginning of your video, I went and burned in the time code there. You had sent me a little metadata file from your recording device, which revealed the exact start time of your video live stream. And so that really, in my view, was the most accurate record of when the actual crime took place, because you started recording at 12:04 p.m. local time, and I set that as the start time on the time code for the video that we're looking at. And so then, as time elapses in the course of this video, we are advancing through the day, and it's 19 minutes after you start that Charlie Kirk is shot at 12:23 local time. And so then 30 seconds approximately after that, this rigid-bodied object, which, people might look at this and say, well, it looks like the wings are flapping. It's important to note that there's, this is blown up tremendously from what is still a pretty compressed video file. And as this thing moves through the air, the changes in color around it are creating that look of motion. We can't really tell if that's a fixed-winged, rigid-body aircraft or a bird soaring. It's a little bit unclear, but that's why I wanted to juxtapose this imagery with the stuff earlier where it clearly is a bird and clearly is an insect. I don't think it's clear that that is a bird or an insect. Then we had another object appear. This is very difficult to see what it is, but this is really strange, Adam. Do you see that trail? It looks like smoke coming off of it.
Yes, I did see that.
What do you think of that?
I saw that in your clip. That's interesting. The one we just looked at before this made me think of these $10,000 land surveyor drones. But I haven't seen anything personally that would emit an exhaust vapor like that, or that would run off of a fuel that would emit a vapor that I've. So
here's the first one again that maybe looks like the $10,000 land surveyor. And I think what you're talking about is more of a long-range drone that is kind of like a fixed-wing aircraft. Most people, when you say drone, they're thinking of the type of quadcopters that you see with cameras on them that people are flying at football games and things like this, like a DJI Mavic or something like that. But we're pretty well along in the technological advancement, even of consumer drones. People can buy these things and build their own, 3D print something, somebody creative. This is a college. You could have a student who's making some unique drone that has some characteristic that we don't know about. If you're a psychopath and a genius, maybe you're making a drone that's spotting something. I want to be clear. I'm not suggesting that a drone was used to shoot at Charlie Kirk. A lot of people hear drone and immediately they're thinking there's a gun on a drone. I haven't seen any evidence of that. I don't think that's what happened. I just see these things flying around, and I want to understand what they are. Now, with regard to what you just said about exhaust, I agree with you. That is not too common. Most of these types of aircraft are powered by electricity. But we do seem to see smoke here, and that is not something that I would think is caused by video compression artifacts. It looks to me like a trail of smoke, and that could be exhaust, but it also could be, if it's a drone malfunctioning that's caught on fire or about to, the electronics, the batteries, anything on there could catch on fire and start to emit smoke. What do you think about that?
Okay, potential theory. I never thought about that one.
I mean, it's possible. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
it's obviously,
for sure, yeah.
doesn't seem like the normal operation of something like that. But again, we don't really know what these things are. And then there's one last really very suspicious thing that shows up here after this smoking, whatever it is, flies out of the frame. For a very, very brief period of time, we have this thing in the lower left that just shoots across the frame really, really fast. And, you know, we have a few points of reference here that we can look at. Oh, there's one extremely fast thing at the end, and then we'll dive into these last two. I don't know if you saw this one at the very end. Not everybody stays, but look at this. In just 3 frames, this thing shoots across.
Wow.
Look at that. Boom, boom, boom.
I have not seen this one.
Yeah, and the thing is, people who say, oh, it's a bird, I don't know, do birds generally fly completely horizontally? Birds, I think they kind of are like pointing their beaks and their bodies and looking in the direction that they're flying in generally is what I think birds do. What do you think of that?
I don't know. I mean, I'm no bird expert, but I think a bird's going to be flying in a downward trajectory if it's fixed, got its wings fixed. And that seemed to me like it was going in an upward.
That's another excellent point. So here I've got it in a format where we can really look at it sort of frame by frame. So this is the final, I'm calling this the puck because it looks like a puck. It's just a flat kind of disc.
Yeah, see how it's kind of like going up the...
Up. Very steep.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a steep incline, and it's moving very fast. People should know you were shooting at 30 frames per second. So each image here represents only 1/30th of a second. In 1/10 of a second, this thing moves that distance. It's moving quite fast, isn't it?
It is.
And it's a coherent shape. It doesn't seem to be any kind of compression error or video anomaly or something like that. We also can see it's occluding this concrete structure, so it's certainly closer to us than the tree, and we got a good sense for how large a bird is over there. So this thing is maybe slightly larger than a bird. It's weird, right?
That is weird.
Now, the other thing that's possible is if this has, you know, 2 arms sticking out with propellers on it, because it does look maybe a little bit like a camera drone right there, like it's got something on the front of its nose pointing, you know. It could be one of these fast FPV drones. Some of those things can fly 250 miles an hour. I'm not a mathematician. There are people who are measuring the distance and calculating the this and that, saying it's got to be going 600 miles an hour. I don't know about 600 miles an hour, but certainly it seems to me something moving at 200 miles an hour or even 100, 150 miles an hour looks like it might go that fast across a video frame, you know, zip by right like that. Hard to say, but there's something there.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely something there.
Something there. So there's a few other of these videos that we can look at. And again, I got to thank you, Adam, first of all, for doing the work to capture this and for sharing it with me. Not everybody would have done that. We've got this here. This is, we can analyze this frame by frame as well. This is something that appears several seconds earlier. Now, to me, that looks very much like a drone. That looks like a drone with 2 arms sticking out that could easily have propellers on it, and this looks like something that could be a very high-speed drone. It resembles that puck that we just saw in some of these other shots. And this is the image I was thinking of that looks most to me like something with a little camera pointing down from its nose. And this seems to be moving at a similar kind of speed, and it seems to be a similar size. Here it is in front of that far building. If it's flying just over the top of the trees, you know, those FPV drones are very, very maneuverable, so maybe somebody is trying to keep it near the tree line so it's not easily seen. Maybe they think it's moving too fast to be photographed, but that thing just zips along.
Yeah, that's it. That is traveling very fast, whatever it is.
Yeah. And I mean, again, maybe there's somebody in the audience, somebody who's watching our video or will get onto X and follow you on Life is Driving, or follow me on X at JG_CSTT and possibly see this video. Maybe they'll say, hey, I know how to do the math to figure out what that thing is. We know how big a bird is next to that building approximately. The way I think this math would be done, and not because I know anything about math, but because I've seen other people do it before, is to make a series of estimates. If the thing is a foot long, it's going this fast. If it's 6 inches long and this far away from the camera, it's going this fast. If it's, you know, and you come up with a range and you say, okay, 600 miles an hour sounds implausible, but if it were 18 inches long and going 240 miles an hour, now it starts to get into the realm of something that we can look at other devices that do that and say, is it plausible for someone to build a drone that could fly at this speed and be this size and do that kind of thing. I wanted to ask you a few more questions about your camera setup, not to poke into what you're doing, but just to help us understand this a little bit, because you and I have discussed that a little bit. You're using the Mevo system, isn't that right?
Yeah, that's correct. I've got it here ready to show you.
Yeah.
So.
And this is worth discussing, I think, because, you know, people, again, they look at these videos and they don't necessarily understand what it is that they're looking at. And it's important to know, because it determines, you know, how these things get photographed. Just because
that one
we
you just
don't
showed is the more high end. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's fine.
That's the more high end one. That's what I'm looking into right now. And then I use my tablet here as the control device. And that controls the stream and the cameras. So a lot of times I'll have multiple cameras at the events, so I can get multiple. At the No Kings one, for example, I had one camera pointing forward and one camera pointing backward because I was in this crowd of 10,000 people. So
yeah,
I use these little smaller versions. It's called the Mevo Start. Here it is, and this does 1080p and it has a 6-hour battery, so you can do it totally wireless. It's just what I've done in the past. All my previous streams have been, every single one has just been wireless, where I have this operating on its own wirelessly, and then I have this microphone attachment so it plugs into the back, and there's an SD card slot as well, and then I have my wireless microphone so that I can talk to people like this, and that signal goes to the receiver from the microphone and into the Mevo camera, and then the camera feed and the audio feed get sent to the tablet for processing, and everything's synced up. And then I have my monitors and things coming off of the tablet, and I also control the stream and where it's being sent to, multiple destinations, whatever. And then I can switch between the on the tablet. It's just like a live producer. So if this was a camera, I would be able to switch between the camera angles. So
now this
previously
is important.
All of them.
This is very
all
important.
Of them wireless, and so. But what happens is when there's so many people in a given area, my theory is that all of their cell phones are emitting and receiving, and it interferes with the wireless. And so in the past streams, the SD card has always been my go-to for the highest quality footage. And then the wireless transmission to the tablet would be slightly better than the live feed, would be significantly better than the live feed. And then the live feed is always grainy and choppy. Right. And so that's usually what my usual setup. However, and then I have a separate, I carry 2 tripods. One has the tablet holder, so I can do the tablet stuff and without making the camera shake, when I'm
Right.
touching the tablet. So this time, however, what I did was, and so I usually have on the top of the camera tripod, I have this apparatus that will hold the hotspot, the second camera, and
The
the
5G
microphone.
hotspot, so you're broadcasting from a
Yeah,
5G hotspot.
So I'll put this on. This is what I've done in all my previous streams. Is I've put this on top, and I have two cameras, microphone, and my hotspot, and it's all on the tripod. So that way, it's all there, and I can set it up, and then I can talk to somebody in front of the camera. But there's these streaming setups that cost thousands of dollars. So I've been working on recreating that. So this is the Charlie Kirk event was the first time that I used my new system, but my goal was to eliminate the bad to improve the stream as much as possible, because I feel like the wireless from the camera to the tablet, and then that degrades with how many people, depending on how many people are in the area.
Let me slow you down for a second, because I want to make sure we're not getting too technical for people. But no. But this is very important. This is what I want to get to. What you're essentially saying is that you've got this very sophisticated system that is designed essentially for professional live streaming, and it's similar to what I use. And you're normally going wireless. This little camera has its own memory in it that you record to an SD card, and then normally it is wirelessly transmitting from Wi-Fi to your iPad, and the iPad is recording and then also broadcasting to YouTube. And the highest quality recording is normally in the camera itself, with a sort of a mid-level quality on this local wireless transmission to the iPad, and the lowest quality on YouTube. And that's what we saw with the YouTube video cutting out and all of that. But you told me, and this was an excellent instinct on your part, you're right, I think this overcrowding of the local wireless network wherever you are, when there's thousands of people using cell phones, is harming this camera's ability to transmit to your iPad and could even disrupt that. So you told me what you did for the first time was you connected the camera to the iPad by a network wire. Isn't that correct?
Yeah. So I had I have this in my backpack, and this is two battery packs, an Ethernet switcher, and my Verizon hotspot, and then my tablet has AT&T, and my phone has AT&T. So I have the three signals merged together with Speedify.
Right.
But coming off of this Ethernet switcher was two Ethernet cables coming directly out of my backpack. So I'm carrying all this weight that it used to be hanging off the tripod. Now I'm carrying it out of my bag. So, and then I'm holding the camera, tablet in my right hand, and the camera tripod in my right hand, and the tablet in my left hand. And coming out of my bag is the two Ethernet cables. My kid said I look like I'm wearing a Ghostbuster pack.
That's cool, though.
So
but let me ask you this: is the Mevo camera hardwired to the iPad through the Ethernet router?
Yes. So I use an Ethernet adapter that allows me to hardwire.
That's the only reason we saw your video. Do you realize that? That was a stroke of genius by you, Adam.
You think so?
I know so.
One thing that another thing that came up was that, so I had this, to continue, I had this, so this goes in the USB-C of the camera, Ethernet adapter to the Ethernet adapter, Ethernet cable to the switcher, which had, Verizon feeds in here, and then also another Ethernet came out to the iPad with another USB-C Ethernet adapter. So everything was connected with Ethernet,
hardwire,
so that my stream would have a better quality, because it
wouldn't be disrupted by all this radio interference.
So that was my goal, was to try and get away from the wireless disruptions, because at the Republican convention there was 4,000 delegates, plus media and stuff.
Can't stream at all.
When I first set up, it was fine, and then when everybody was in the same room, I could not get the stream to work, and the camera itself, even when I was just recording wirelessly, after sometimes it would glitch and disconnect from the tablet, and then I'd have trouble reconnecting it. But then when I would get out of there, it would be fine. And so my theory was it was just too many wireless signals. So that was
You're
what I was
right.
trying to do, was eliminate that problem by going with the hardwired to mimic these really expensive streaming setups that people can buy. That's a plug and play. It's a backpack with routers and battery packs and 4 cell service connections. So you get the best. That's the way to get the real deal for a real professional. They spend 5 or 6 grand on that kind of thing. So I'm definitely not. I appreciate the compliment, but I have a full-time other job, and this is my my hobby as a Republican delegate. Is really how it started. Was because it was just a necessity where the opposition would have this huge organization, and all of their debates and events would be recorded and put out for all the delegates to see and make the right decisions on, and on our side, we didn't have that. And so that's how I got involved doing this, was just to go and stream political debates and political events so that the delegates in my district, I'm a precinct chair, so that they could see the candidates talking. And because if you miss the debate, you might have somebody that's a fake conservative trying to run in a district. And if you can get that information out and get the debate answers out to the delegates, they can make a more informed decision. So that's how I started doing this. And it's just kind of grown in sophistication as I encounter problems. I try and eliminate them, and so that's how I've got to this. It started with a cell phone on a tripod. Now I've got this whole setup,
That's fantastic, Adam, I have to say. And by the way, I do the same thing that you do, not as a delegate, but I prefer the home brew method. You can stay ahead of the technology, and it costs less, and when it's working properly, it can work better. But you're saying a lot of important things, and I want to distill it down for people who might find that to be a little bit too technical. You're basically sidestepping all the wireless connectivity that this pretty high-end product, the Mevo camera, integrates to make it easy to connect all of this sophisticated stuff together. They want you to just be able to wirelessly stream from the camera to the iPad.
In a perfect world, you can just do it all wireless, and it's lightweight and easy, But the wired method would give me a more dependable front end, so that the only thing that's wireless is going to be my cell stream. So I stream over the cell network.
Now, let me ask you something. Did you have Bluetooth turned on the iPad?
I have the Bluetooth turned on the iPad with my earbuds as a monitor, typically, so I can monitor the audio feed.
I knew you did.
But I was on, but I didn't. I had checked the feed, made sure everything's good, and then I just I took them out because I was interviewing people in person.
But you don't disable Bluetooth.
I did not disable
iPad.
Bluetooth. No, I did not disable it.
Are you aware of this wormable zero-click remote code execution exploit? This is a flaw in the Apple Bluetooth stack that was discovered by this IT security company called Oligo, that says that Apple iOS devices are at risk of a zero-day exploit that allows someone to launch what's called an airborne attack via Bluetooth. And I think this is what shut down your live stream.
Interesting. I've never heard of this.
Yeah. And all you need to have to do is to have Bluetooth on the device. And they can do so. And by the way, this is a known exploit. Who knows what other exploits there could be that we don't know about. So, a lot of people are asking me like, oh, what do you think these drones were doing? I mean, I can't say that I know what the drones were doing. And I don't think that they were shooting at Charlie. That's not what I'm trying to say. But if there are drones in the air, I just find it incredible and coincidental that you could be live streaming with these students for 15 or 20 minutes, and then the second before the shooting happens, your live stream cuts out. Now, by the way, I'm not suggesting that this insect did it. I'm not suggesting that necessarily anything that we see. It could have been behind you. It could have been anywhere that's out of view of your camera. But I think a Bluetooth low energy attack was happening in the area to disable live streams so that it would reduce the number of people who would record evidence of this incident. The fact that you got audio and video of all this could have been something that somebody did not want to have happen.
Interesting. Interesting theory. Yeah, I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah. I mean, again, these are, as you said, theories. I'm not saying this is definitely what happened, but I wanted to speak to you about all this. First of all, to congratulate you on this excellent and historic work that you did. I think it's very important, and everybody wants to know what happened to, well, not everybody. We've got psychopaths who are celebrating the death of a father, but I think everybody who's not an evil villain wants to know what happened on that day, and I think that your video is going to be a historic document and very important, ultimately, in helping to figure that out. And I also just wanted to talk to you about some of these technical details to, you know, iron out some of these theories. And basically everything that you said only underscores what I've already presumed.
Now, I don't want to, I don't want to inadvertently throw fuel on the fire. But one thing that happened that has never happened before since I've been using the Mevo system, which is I've had it over a year. I bought it in 2023, early in the spring. I've been slowly getting better at as I use the system and try various things. And like I said, this recording things multiple ways. What I found is that the recording on the device is usually the highest quality, the one that's on the SD card. And so I'll use that for my post-event stuff. I'll clip the debates and things from the SD card version. This time, however, the SD card in the back of the camera did not record the event at all. And I went back and checked and went back and checked, and everything was set. So I can't figure out why the SD card in the camera did not record the event. Obviously, it's, I always err on the side of I am the problem. So whatever the problem is, I have caused it ultimately by not being properly set up or not having the proper settings in my system or the proper equipment or something. It's something that I did, and usually I always look back at me, like, how can I fix the problem? So I think I want to think, hey, this is something that I screwed up. But it's when you use the Mevo system, it's made by Logitech. It's really intuitive. I mean, you start your live stream and it says record. It wouldn't record to the iPad and not the when you.
It's not the way it normally works.
There's a little toggle switch that says go live, and then the toggle is already flipped for record because I record every single time I go live. It's never I've never not recorded. So it's just there, and so it's not something that you can easily screw up. And so I cannot figure out why this event was not recorded on the SD card. I pulled the SD card out when I first got home and panicked because there was no event in there. It was only the No Kings rally and the post shooting interviews from that rally earlier in the summer. And so I was panicking, but luckily the iPad did
your
record,
wired connection, your innovative thinking.
The best iPad recording I've had of all of the things because it was wired. So that actually worked. That was a success, but there was a bigger failure that I cannot figure out on my camera. So
let me ask you one more thing. Does the Mevo camera itself have Bluetooth connectivity at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe it does. Okay. Let's see. I'm not 100%, but it has all this wireless, and you can connect.
Wireless microphones.
It can become its own Wi-Fi hotspot. It has wireless microphones. It has its own Wi-Fi hotspot. I can't imagine it wouldn't have Bluetooth, but let's take a look just to be sure, because I don't want to assume that.
And one other thing I noticed when I was looking at this Mevo technology is that in the software, it has a setting for the sound where you can get it to kind of like enhance vocals over background noise. Do you use any of those settings?
Yes, it does have Bluetooth. The Mevo Start does have Bluetooth. What were you saying? I'm sorry, I was not listening to your question.
I was saying that one of the things that this Mevo production studio allows you to do is to filter audio so that it amplifies or enhances
Yes.
voices and kind of masks background noise. Do you use that feature?
No, I can see the two green bars on those audio controls. Oh, I do have the two green bars. So let me see if I can get I don't know where you would do that. So like, this is what I mean by it's trial and error for me.
And it does
I can say
certain
no.
things
I can
by
tell you no,
itself.
unless it's something that's automatically set up, enabled on Mevo. I
Might
really
be.
probably haven't tinkered with it. Like I filmed this student walkout over a year ago of some. It was one of the first things I filmed with the Mevo. Was this student walkout protesting it was kids protesting the furries that were in their school, and
Huh.
they
So
were
this is a
unhappy
big
that the
thing in Utah, furries?
oh, yes, it's a big thing, and there's a lot of denial about it too. But
Wow.
I had showed up to stream that one, and I had been tampering with my settings beforehand, and
Uh-huh.
so that
Uh-huh.
that stream has a really kind of blue, like a blue tinge to it, because
Huh.
I don't know anything about my camera settings. So I was tinkering with the settings the night before because I was at a debate and it was
Right.
indoors and the lighting was low, and so I had like
Right.
or
Boosted
the
up.
lighting was really bright, and so I had lowered it down. I can't remember exactly what it
Hmm.
was, but I'd screwed it up the night before and gone out to stream this event with the wrong settings, and so it looked like it was like overcast and really dim, even though it was a bright 8 o'clock in the morning. So it was really just because I screwed it up at the
But
end of
that's
it.
okay, Adam. I think you're doing a great job, and certainly we wouldn't have this video at all if it wasn't for your innovative thinking. I've often spoken about a principle that I learned about from Japanese culture called Kaizen, which is the constant pursuit of perfection and always trying to improve your process and your product. And it sounds like you're doing that as well. So I applaud you for that. You
Thanks.
shared so much important information with us here. I realize you're very busy. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, I appreciate you giving me the platform and being able to come on here and talk about the strange things that are found in this footage. There's a lot of stuff. So I appreciate you and other people going through that and doing the stuff that I can't do. The more technical things that I'm not able to do. So I definitely appreciate that. And I just hope that more people can. I want more people to have this camera set up and be out there pointing their camera at things. Because it's so important that that these kinds of things are documented. So, and
Yeah.
that's not just like a tragic event like this, but even if we want to improve our society, people have to get involved politically. And this is my way of getting involved politically is trying to, get as much information out there to the other people who are involved politically in my area, because I'm big on, county over country. I think we have to work on the problems we have in our own neighborhood. And everybody's busy having anxiety and getting overwhelmed with what's going on at the national level. And I think if we just work on our own backyard is kind of the mindset that I go with, and so that's why I get involved. And I just I want to give everybody as much information as possible and let them make their a better educated choice. So, and this has just been a side product of that goal. So.
I appreciate you saying that, Adam, and I'm glad to have met you. I really appreciate everything you've done to help us all by sharing this footage. I want to make sure that people know they can follow you on X at Life is Driving, and they can subscribe to your YouTube channel of the same name, Life is Driving. Is there anything else, a website or anything that you want to promote while we're still here?
I kind of partnered up with a local group of citizen journalists and podcasters. They kind of have the same objective that I have politically, and we're trying to give Main Street a voice, and so it's called Main Street Media Utah. You can find us at kmmu.org. They're at Media Utah on Twitter, and we're trying to give the everyday person the ability to kind of push back against the prevailing narratives that we get, accurate or not, from the mainstream media. So we're we're a startup. You know, we're scrappy. We're lightweight, and that's why, you know, we're out here just doing our thing. So if you want to give us a follow, that'd be great. Check us out and keep speaking out. You know, Charlie wasn't afraid to speak his mind and stand up for what he believed in, and I hope that we have more people doing that very same thing.
Yeah. Well, once again, Adam Bartholomew, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for the work that you've done and that you're doing. I also want to remind people they can sponsor Crowdsource the Truth by following me on X at JG_CSTT and subscribing there, or by going to crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com and becoming a subscriber. You can also access all that sponsor-exclusive content on subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Adam, thank you so much. I'm glad you and your family are safe. Thanks for your great work, and thanks everybody for watching.